On my wedding day, the bride publicly called off the marriage. She said my younger brother was her true love. Then the two of them eloped together. I turned around and dialed the number of my nemesis and childhood sweetheart. On the other end of the phone, Xia Xining's pleasant voice sounded. What a rare occasion. Why did you suddenly think of calling me? I smiled and said, I'm getting married today. She gave a light snort. You're getting married today. I already sent your gift over. Don't tell me you think my gift wasn't enough, so you're calling just to mock me. I laughed and replied, I heard you're still single. Care to get married today? I'm holding the wedding today, but I'm still missing a bride. Before I could finish speaking, there was a loud thud from the other end. Xia Xining frowned and asked Jiang. Are you serious? I nodded. When have I ever lied to you? Xia Xining fell silent for a moment, then suddenly smiled and asked me, Jiang, do you know what the consequence will be if I go? From then on, I'll be doing only for things with you every day. I understood the meaning behind her words. There was an uncontrollable smile on my face. I'll wait for you for half an hour. After hanging up, my good brother Chu Feng stepped forward and patted my shoulder, comforting me. Actually, Xia Xining is pretty good too. I smiled and nodded. I know. I didn't choose Xia Xining because I had no other options. We'd been classmates since elementary school, 3 years of middle school, and 2 years of high school. We were desk mates for 5 years, but almost every day we were at each other's throats. Back then I didn't understand why this woman always liked going against me. Not until the car accident, when I saw Xia Xining throw herself toward me without hesitation, did I finally come to my senses. At that moment, a knock on the door interrupted my memories. The MC's voice came through. Mr. Jiang, is the bride ready? The wedding is about to begin. I smiled and replied to the MC, it'll be ready soon. I firmly believed Xia Xining wasn't someone who would go back on her word. 20 minutes later, Xia Xining appeared at the doorway. I looked at her in surprise. She was dressed head to toe in a custom-made gown, so exquisitely put together that even every strand of hair was carefully styled. It was hard not to suspect she prepared for this long ago. Only, on her wrist was a simple watch. I remembered. It was a birthday gift I'd given her in our first year of high school. I hadn't expected her to still be wearing it. Seeing the amazement in my eyes, she raised an eyebrow in satisfaction and asked, when Zuli ran off, so you thought of calling me? Had you already been coveting Miss Zia's looks? Just waiting for this day. I replied confidently, Xia Xining. My conditions aren't bad either. Since you came today, you should thank me for curing your man aversion syndrome. Xia Xining was so annoyed she laughed. That so-called syndrome was something you spread, okay? From childhood to adulthood, she had excellent grades and was extremely popular. Wherever she went, she was the top student and the campus beauty. Back in school, countless boys liked her. Once, after she teased me, I refused to back down and went around spreading rumors that Xia Xining had a man aversion syndrome. So much so that even now, she had never had a proper relationship. She'd never even held a man's hand. Xia Xining frowned and said, do you know how many admirers that one sentence of yours scared away? I raised an eyebrow. Then now I'll give you a husband. You'll even skip straight past dating. Xia Xining placed her index finger to her lips. That does sound pretty good. At that moment, an impatient urging voice rang out. The two newlyweds. The wedding is about to begin. I extended my right hand. Xia Xining naturally took it. Her slender hand looped firmly around my arm, and my uneasy heart gradually relaxed. Xia Xining looked at me and asked, if you change the bride at the last minute, will your dad agree? I looked completely confident. Once I get married, I'll receive 15% of my grandfather's shares. If you marry me, you'll also receive 10% of the shares, and whatever is yours will be mine. So, when the time comes, I'll be the one with the most authority in the Jiang family. Xia Xining looked at me, at my confident smile. For a moment, she seemed to see again that stubborn boy from our youth who never admitted defeat. Fortunately, when Zuli ran away from the wedding, making all his scheming worthwhile. Otherwise, it would never have been her turn in this lifetime. It was time for the newlyweds to make their entrance. Seeing that the bride had suddenly been replaced, the elders of both families changed color, especially Grandma Wen Zweli's mother was also stunned, and immediately called Wen Zuli. But the phone kept showing busy, and she could never get through. Wen's mother had no choice but to call Wen Zweli's residence. She learned that Wen Zuli hadn't shown up at the wedding because of Jiang Haoyu. Wen's mother's face turned pale, her lips trembling with anger. Seeing that the newlyweds were about to exchange rings, Grandma Wen asked Wen's mother in a deep voice, have you contacted your daughter? Wen's mother lowered her head. Could it be that she isn't coming? When Muksu, who was focused on filming a video, froze for a moment. Only then did she ask in disbelief, "My sister ran away from the wedding. Is it really that dramatic?" After learning what had happened, Grandma Wen stood stunned on the spot. Her good upbringing made her forcibly hold back from exploding, but her brows knitted tightly together, countless emotions flashing through her eyes. In the end, she looked at me with deep regret. She had always treated me as her own grandson. She had thought the Wen and Jiang families would become even closer through marriage. Who could have expected this outcome? When Muksu looked panicked, "Grandma, what should we do now? Brother Yi Cheng is going to marry someone else. He won't be my brother-in-law anymore." Grandma Wen let out a weary sigh. "No matter what, today is Yi Cheng's wedding. We must stay until the ceremony is over before leaving. We can't let Brother Yi Cheng lose face." On the stage, the newlyweds were exchanging rings. I squeezed Xia Xining's fingers. With a smile at the corner of her lips, she looked at me. "Li Chun, I have no parents, and no ordinary relatives either. Marrying me will save you a lot of trouble. But I still want to ask you one last time. Have you thought it through? Marriage is not child's play. I have a bad temper, and I like to bully you." I looked at the serious Xia Xining and smiled sincerely. "Xining, I'm serious." Although everyone found it unbelievable that the bride had been changed at the last minute, everyone present was shrewd and perceptive. No one would be tactless enough to spread it around. They still smiled and applauded, offering blessings to the newlyweds. After the wedding ended, because of the farce that had unfolded during the ceremony, I couldn't go back to the Jiang family house for the time being. Just as I was about to speak and apologize to Xia Xining, she unexpectedly took the initiative to bring me to the new house, which was Xia Xining's home. She didn't tell me that she had already had people tidy up the place last night. Don't ask. If you ask, it's because she had calculated that when Zuli wouldn't come back, the originally cold and empty house had become what a newlywed home should look like. Festive characters and balloons could be seen everywhere. I looked at her carefully, confusion in my eyes. "When did you prepare all this? Or had you already prepared it long ago?" Xia Xining snorted softly, her smile bright. "It's my first time getting married. I can't let it be just shabby." I was a little surprised. I thought Xia Xining had only come to go through the motions. I didn't expect her to be so serious. She was even more serious about this than I was. I felt a bit ashamed. Aside from bringing her a ring, it felt like I hadn't done anything at all, not even providing the proper betrothal gifts or a new home. I couldn't give her any of that. After changing my clothes, I came out, patted my suitcase, and asked her where I should sleep tonight. Xia Xining paused while drinking her milk, then smiled brightly. "If my husband doesn't mind, we can sleep together." I frowned slightly. Two people who'd been fighting since middle school had now actually become husband and wife. It still felt a bit strange, seeing the concern in my eyes. Xia Xining knowingly pointed to the room next to hers. "Your room is there. I don't know your preferences, so do whatever you like." She then added softly, "Don't bother putting too much effort into decorating it either. You'll be coming back to my room eventually anyway. My room is already arranged according to your preferences." She spoke too softly, so I didn't catch it and asked, "What did you say?" Xia Xining calmly changed the subject. "When are we going to register our marriage?" I thought about it and said, "Tomorrow morning." Xia Xining raised an eyebrow, her pretty eyes fixed on me. "Yichen, I knew it. You'd had your eye on me all along. You were just waiting for this day." Then she chuckled softly and asked, as expected, "If Wenzuli is brought back tomorrow, shall we go on our honeymoon?" She wanted to take me away before Wenzuli returned, and let Wenzuli cry all she wanted. I was just about to answer, but my phone rang at the wrong moment. "The honeymoon will have to wait. Can it wait until I finish the project I'm working on?" I asked tentatively, afraid Xia Xining might be unhappy. After thinking about it, I added, "About half a month." I spoke to her gently, which made Xia Xining feel light and pleased all over. She immediately nodded in agreement. The next day, we got up early. We first went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate, then each returned to our own companies. It was as if registering the marriage was just a formality. After returning to the company and finishing a meeting to finalize the plan, I received a call from my dad, Jiang Hongshuan, yesterday, when he saw the bride being replaced on the spot. My dad was furious. His face fell immediately. Even though Wenzuli was absent, that didn't mean I could just marry anyone. Wasn't this making a mockery of things? Besides, Wenzuli went to see your younger brother, Jiang Yichen. You're the older brother. Couldn't you be more sensible and wait for Wenzuli? My dad was seething with anger, yet still trying hard to suppress it. Li Chun, now that you've grown wings, you dare to mess around like this. Have you registered your marriage with Xia Xining? If you haven't, Bring her to the Jiang residence this afternoon. Before I could reply, my dad hung up. I let out a soft chuckle. That tone sounded like he was interrogating a criminal. I didn't take it too seriously. I put down my phone and threw myself fully into work. It wasn't until my lunch break that I remembered it again. I gave Xia Xining a call. At that time, Xia Xining had just finished a meeting as well. Her best friend Su Zhaoxiao came humming into Xia Xining's office, carrying two box lunches in her hands. Su Zhaoxiao smiled and said, "Sister Xining, it's your first day of marriage and you're already at work. Aren't you afraid your husband will be upset?" Su Zhaoxiao felt that. Ever since the Jiang family announced Wenzueli's engagement to me, Xia Xining had been drowning herself in bars every day, nearly drinking herself to death. Back then, she even teased Xia Xining for being cowardly, liking someone but not daring to pursue them. But yesterday, when the group was at the bar, Xia Xining suddenly received a call from Jiang Yichen. The previously lively scene fell silent instantly with just one look from Xia Xining. After hanging up, Xia Xining stood up coolly, patted her chest with a proud air, and said, "This lady is going to get married," leaving them staring at each other in shock. Now, Su Zhaoxiao patted Xia Xining on the shoulder and said, "You finally managed to secure your little husband. Aren't you going to nurture your relationship a bit? Aren't you afraid that once Wenzuli comes to her senses, Jiang Yichen will be snatched away by her?" Xia Xining played with her phone and thought for a moment, "Should I give him a call?" Hearing that, she curled her lips upward and said smugly, "My husband is very considerate. A single dog like you wouldn't understand nor get to envy it." Su Zhaoxiao took 10,000 points of critical damage. Showing off is one thing, why the personal attack? "Sister Xining, you rushed off to get married yesterday. Did you register with your brother-in-law?" Su Zhaoxiao delivered a lethal blow. "Marriage, is only reliable with that piece of paper?" Xia Xining frowned slightly, as if finding some sense in that. Su Zhaoxiao seized the opening like she'd caught a handle, and mocked, "Don't keep calling him husband every other word. Once Wenzuli comes back, your brother-in-law will be gone." Before she could finish, Su Zhaoxiao's eyes went wide, staring at the red booklet in Xia Xining's hand. She couldn't help shouting, "Holy crap! Is that real?" She dashed over to Xia Xining, eyes shining, and said excitedly, "Sister Xining, let me see it. I've never seen a marriage certificate before." Xia Xining, wearing a look that said, "Why would a single dog be worthy?" put the marriage certificate into the desk drawer. She said smugly, "If you want to see one, go get married." After that, she told the assistant to bring a lock, and locked the marriage certificate right in front of Su Zhaoxiao. That way, there won't be any thieves. Then Xia Xining smiled and nodded, keeping it in the office. She could take it out and look at it any time. Su Zhaoxiao was speechless. It was the first time she'd seen a woman care this much about a marriage certificate, locking it up and all. "You're ruthless. When did you get it?" Xia Xining shot her a cool glance. "Fresh off the press this morning, still warm." At that moment, my call came through. Su Zhaoxiao wanted to complain some more, but saw Xia Xining wearing a love-struck expression. She decided she couldn't afford to provoke this and backed off. My voice came through the phone. "Are you free this afternoon?" Xia Xining's eyes curved with a smile. "As long as you need me, I'm always free." Su Zhaoxiao said, her teeth were about to turn sour. I couldn't help but sigh helplessly. "Your father-in-law wants to see you." Xia Xining lifted the corner of her lips. "That's a small matter, no need to panic." I added, "I'll come pick you up later. Make sure you eat well at lunch. Dinner tonight won't be that easy." Xia Xining replied confidently, "Yi Cheng, have a little faith in your wife." She made me laugh. All the gloom in my heart was swept away. After hanging up, Su Zhaoxiao leaned over with a gossiping look. Glancing at her phone, she asked, "Was that your brother-in-law calling?" Xia Xining nodded. She then instructed her assistant to prepare some gifts this afternoon. "I'm going to the Jiang residence." Su Zhaoxiao clapped excitedly. "Sister Xining is officially leveling up, meeting the family. Don't get nervous. Don't chicken out, bring out the aura you have when negotiating projects." Xia Xining raised her brows calmly. "I don't need you to teach me that." Meanwhile, when Zuli woke up to find it was already past noon, seeing the wedding video someone posted of me, along with my breakup words, her mind instantly exploded. She never imagined I would break up with her like that. When Zuli hurriedly got dressed, grabbed her phone, and was about to rush out, just then Jiang Haoyu came in and grabbed her wrist. "Jiang Yichen doesn't want you anymore." Are you still going back? If he can change his bride, why can't you change your groom? Wenzuli stared at him coldly and said, last night was just a misunderstanding. You're fine now. I'm going back to get married. As soon as she finished speaking, Jiang Heoyu clenched his teeth and asked, you like him that much? You don't even care that I almost died. Wenzuli's breathing grew uneven, her voice turning sharp. You have classmates here. And friends too. It was just a minor car accident. There was no need for me to come in person. But I still came in person. I already left Yichin behind Jiang Heoyu. What more do you want from me? Hearing Wenzuli call his name, Jiang Heoyu knew she was angry. He apologized softly. I'm sorry. I was just panicking. I was afraid I'd die just like that, without getting to see you one last time. I like you so much. Before he could finish, Wenzuli cut him off coldly. Now that I've seen you, I'm going back. Let last night's matter end here. It was all a misunderstanding. After saying that, Wenzuli took out her phone and called me. But she couldn't get through no matter what. She had her assistant try calling as well, with the same result. Wenzuli was furious. I had actually blocked all of their numbers. Wenzuli then called my good brother, Chu Feng. Chu Feng mocked her sarcastically for a while, then hung up as well. Wenzuli was livid, but could only rush back anyway. At 4 in the afternoon, I drove up right on time to Xia Sining's company building. After picking Xia Sining up, I reminded her that after my mother passed away, Grandpa was the one who loved me the most. If Grandpa gives you a hard time, please bear with it a little. Xia Sining shifted closer to me, her long legs and stockings brushing my side. Putting on a meek, wife-like expression, she said, husband, we're a legally married couple now. Your grandpa is my grandpa too. Where does bearing with mistreatment even come from? I was deeply moved and couldn't help glancing down a few times, perhaps because she'd been too tired from work. Not long after getting into the car, Xia Sining fell sound asleep. I deliberately slowed down so she could rest properly. Only when the car pulled into my home did I gently wake her. Seeing the slight nervousness on Xia Sining's face, the corners of my lips lifted faintly. I got out and held Xia Sining's hand as we walked inside, feeling the warmth in her palm. I reassured her, we're legally married. Don't be afraid, Xia Sining swallowed and patted her chest. There was a photo of the marriage certificate there, although she had locked the certificate in her office. The photo was kept close to her, with slightly flushed lips. She kept emphasizing that we were legally married. Then she followed me into the Jiang family home. At that moment, there were quite a few people sitting in the living room. My father, my grandfather, and Wenzuli's grandmother were all there, as well as old Madame Li, which surprised me a little. Still, I stepped forward and greeted them one by one. Xia Sining followed suit and greeted everyone politely. Everyone's gaze fell on the two of us, on our tightly interlocked fingers. All their expressions changed slightly. I let go of her hand and walked up to old Madame Li. With guilt, I said, Grandma Li, I'm sorry I couldn't inform you in advance about what happened yesterday. I truly apologize. There was both affection and regret in old Madame Li's eyes. She took my hand, her voice filled with remorse, and said tenderly, it was the Shen family who wronged you, Li Chun. You don't need to apologize. We were the ones at fault. I only hope that you'll be happy. I already know what happened yesterday. It was Wenzuli's fault. I should also apologize to you on her behalf. Old Madame Li let out a deep sigh. Li Chun, I won't defend Wenzuli. I failed to teach her properly, and she caused you such great harm. I'm sorry. After seeing old Madame Li off, Xia Sining, and I followed my grandfather to the study. My grandfather was still in fairly good health, standing there with an imposing, authoritative presence. His scrutinizing gaze fell on Xia Sining. He nodded calmly. You look very much like Xia Yuandong. Xia Yuandong was Xia Sining's grandfather's name. He passed away when Xia Sining was in her first year of middle school. When my grandfather and Xia Yuandong were young, they often argued fiercely, yet they also respected and appreciated each other. Unfortunately, Xia Yuandong passed away early. Otherwise, the person I married would never have been Wenzuli. My grandfather continued, I don't care what happened between you two in the past. What's past is past, let it stay that way. Since Yichin has married you, I hope the two of you will get along well. Xia Sining nodded obediently. Grandpa, don't worry, I've already made a will. All the assets under my name will go to Yichin. Hearing that, I froze for a moment. Grandpa also waved his hand. There's no need for that. Xia Sining glanced at me. her eyes brimming with deep affection. Grandpa, you were once the person I admired the most. I'll do my very best to treat him well. Grandpa nodded, then asked a bit about my company. In the end, when the old man took a phone call, we finally went downstairs hand in hand. Xia Xining went to the restroom, and I sat down in the living room first. My dad was sitting there watching the news. I sat across from him and stiffly called out, "Dad." My dad responded with a grunt, then took the initiative to open the conversation. "Do you know about Haoyu's car accident?" I nodded expressionlessly. "I know." My dad seemed to understand the cause of the incident as well. He hesitated for a few seconds, then said Haoyu's accident was quite serious. Wenzuli, as his sister, going to see him was only natural. Don't take it to heart. But you and Xia Xining. Li Chun, are you serious? I felt indifferent inside. I knew my dad had given most of his paternal affection to Jiang Haoyu. I wasn't angry. I just found it meaningless. In my heart, marriage is not child's play. My meaning was very clear. I'm serious. My dad couldn't help thinking of his own marriage. He studied me carefully, his cold expression loosening slightly. Li Chun, your mother and I cut him off. My expression was calm, with no ripple of emotion in my eyes. After Mom passed away, I came to terms with it, Dad. The mistakes you made shouldn't be paid for by women. Mom's death had a lot to do with you. You're still my father now, but you're no longer the father I respect most. The moment you chose to betray Mom and me, you lost that qualification. Standing in front of me, my father looked utterly powerless. In the end, he stopped speaking. Fortunately, not long after, the aunt came to say dinner was ready. When we left after the meal, it was already dark. I glanced at Xia Xining, quiet in the car, and couldn't help asking, "You look really happy. Is it just because Grandpa didn't scold you?" Xia Xining, you see, though she doesn't have any scandals, her way of doing things has never been very proper. It was only natural that the old man wouldn't like her. A hint of slyness showed in Xia Xining's eyes. She curled her lips and said, "I'll only tell my dear husband." I chuckled softly. "Aren't I already your legal husband?" Xia Xining replied calmly, still missing just a little. I was a bit speechless. "Xining, I'm driving. You keep staring at me. I can't focus on driving." Xia Xining blushed and said again, "Then this kiss. We'll do it when we get home." Before she could finish speaking, I suddenly slammed on the brakes. Looking up, I saw a woman standing in the headlights. My brow twitched violently. I glanced at Xia Xining. Xia Xining said calmly, "If you want to go, you can go." I pinched her cheek lightly and said gently, "I'll go make things clear with her. I'll be back soon, okay?" The only response was Xia Xining's soft snort. I opened the door and stepped out. Wenzuli hurried over and grabbed my arm. With reddened eyes, she asked, "Li Chun, I never agreed to break up." The autumn wind carried a chill. I looked at her quietly, without the slightest anger. It had only been 2 days, yet the always meticulous her. Wenzuli actually looked a bit disheveled. Wenzuli sighed. "Li Chun, don't use innocent people to provoke me." I loosened my grip and shook off Wenzuli's hand. "Wenzuli, I'm not the kind who wants what's in the pot while eyeing the bowl. The moment you chose to go look for Jiang Haoyu, we were finished. You could have told me beforehand. I could have notified the guest overnight and postponed the wedding. But you didn't. You humiliated me, threw my reputation to the ground, and let it be trampled at will." Wenzuli was slightly stunned and explained, "Haoyu is your younger brother. He was in a car accident." I almost laughed in anger. "Wenzuli, don't forget Jiang Haoyu. His friends and classmates were all there. If something happened, it didn't have to be you who went. Are you a doctor? In what capacity did you go? As his ex-girlfriend, or as my sister-in-law?" Seeing the confusion on Wenzuli's face, I felt a trace of bitterness. "It's not like you don't know how Jiang Haoyu became my brother. I don't hate him, but I will never accept someone who caused my mother's death." Wenzuli spoke hesitantly. "Annie, it wasn't him who caused her death." I froze for a moment, then laughed. Only there was no warmth in that smile. "So this is what you've always thought. You're just like my dad, not someone on the same path as me. We were never meant to make it together." I firmly believe my mom's death had everything to do with them. Since you chose to be with me, you should have respected me, instead of getting entangled with him. At such a critical moment, Wenzuli, I wasn't dependent on you. Those words, "not dependent on you," made Wenzuli see stars. It felt like a hole had been dug in her heart, with cold wind howling straight through it. It hurt terribly. Her lips trembled. Lee-chun, you misunderstood. This was my fault. I looked at her coldly and said, Wenzuli, you've had everything go smoothly since childhood. You don't know how to refuse people, and you're too soft-hearted. A woman like you. To put it bluntly, you're a central heating system. I don't need a central heating system like you. Tears wouldn't stop falling from Wenzuli's eyes. Lee-chun, I do love you. This matter really was my fault. I shouldn't have left without telling you. Come with me now. Let's go back and get married. I looked at her indifferently, as if seeing straight through her soul. Wenzuli, you'll never understand how much damage you caused me. I could allow Wenzuli to be with Jiang Haoyu. But the one thing I cannot accept is that while preparing to marry me, she still couldn't let go of Jiang Haoyu. How can one heart hold to people? It's truly disgusting. At that moment, a voice sounded from behind. You were the one who gave up on Lee-chun first, so you have to accept that he doesn't want to wait for you anymore. She quickly walked to my side, openly looping her arm through mine. She looked provocatively at Wenzuli. Wenzuli stared deeply at Xia Xining, her brows knitting together. Xia Xining, you took advantage of the situation and still have the nerve to accuse me. Xia Xining's gaze turned slightly cold as she snorted. If we're talking about taking advantage, you were the one who created the conditions for me. Speaking of which, I should thank you. A provocative glint flashed in Xia Xining's eyes. The atmosphere instantly grew tense. I felt a headache coming on. I held Xia Xining's hand and interlaced our fingers. Lowering my head, I said softly, let's go home early. I'm a bit tired. Xia Xining tilted her head slightly and flashed Wenzuli a mocking smile. She escorted me to the passenger seat. Xia Xining walked past Wenzuli, with her head held high, like a victor. Wenzuli rushed to the passenger side window, frowning as she said softly, Lee-chun, have you thought this through? If you leave with her now, then it's completely over between us. Expressionless, I rolled up the window and drove home. Wenzuli couldn't imagine that just this once, she had lost the man she loved the most. Watching the car disappear into the distance, she collapsed onto the roadside, her heart feeling completely hollowed out. Xia Xining and I tacitly did not mention Wenzuli again. I had lived alone outside quite early on and learned to cook through the ups and downs of life. Later, I found the process of cooking very healing, so I kept the habit of cooking for myself. By the time Xia Xining got up, I had already finished my run and prepared breakfast. Looking at the breakfast on the table, Xia Xining, who never ate breakfast, actually sat down and slowly enjoyed it with me. A couple of times, Xia Xining woke up late, seeing the empty dining table. She thought there was no breakfast for her and felt a little disappointed, but when we got into the car, I handed her a small, cute insulated lunchbox. She looked puzzled, blinking her pretty big eyes. What's this? I explained that it was breakfast. Xia Xining's lips curved upward. Her smile was faint, but very gentle. Did my husband make this for me? Xia Xining smiled lazily, full of confidence. I deliberately teased her, saying it was just the leftovers she hadn't finished in the morning. Xia Xining was a bit speechless, but with breakfast in hand, she was in a good mood. In the elevator, we saw Assistant Li Wei munching on a bun. Li Wei raised the fried bun in her hand and asked, President Xia, have you had breakfast? Xia Xining chuckled lightly, holding up a Doraemon thermos and said, no need. My husband made me a loving breakfast. Hearing that, Li Wei hurriedly flattered her. President Xia is amazing. It's only been a few days since the wedding, and you've already got Mr. Jiang wrapped around your finger. After she finished breakfast, I followed Xia Xining into the office. When I saw Xia Xining lay out the breakfast, Li Wei shed tears of envy. In an instant, she felt that everything she'd swallowed earlier was garbage. She casually sent a photo to Su Zhaoxiao. Su Zhaoxiao immediately called and asked, Sister Xining, can I taste my brother-in-law's cooking? Xia Xining laughed softly. Want to eat? Go find yourself a husband. Su Zhaoxiao looked speechless. So having a husband makes you that amazing? Just a few days ago you were a single dog like me. Xia Xining said happily. Having a husband really is amazing. That night when we came back from Jiang's place, my grandpa gave me 15% of the shares and gave Xia Xining 10%. The remaining 5% was left to Jiang Haoyu. These past 2 days, I organized the share transfer documents and handed Xia Signing her portion. Xia Signing didn't take it and returned it to me. I was a little surprised. Grandpa gave this to you, why don't you want it? Xia Signing leaned back on the sofa, striking a languid pose. With a smile, she said, I'm your wife. Wasn't that what you said? What's mine is yours, I'll give you everything. I explained awkwardly. I was just joking that day. Xia Signing put away her smile. I'm serious. Since we're married, I've never thought about getting a divorce. Not just these shares. Even if I gave you my current company, I wouldn't mind. I looked at her with a bitter smile. Have you ever regretted being with me these past 4 years? I'm a bit boring as a person. I don't really understand romance. Xia Signing chuckled softly. It's fine. As long as I understand. If you don't understand, your big sister can teach you. I didn't say anything. I still returned the shares to Xia Signing. As I left the company and was about to get into the car, I ran into Jiang Hao waiting for me in the parking lot. He was sitting in a wheelchair, his face slightly pale, yet he still forced a smile. I frowned and glanced at him a few times. Wasn't he in a car accident? Shouldn't Jiang Haoyu be in the hospital? Why was he back? Jiang Haoyu smiled. I heard you and Wenzuli broke up. I was afraid you'd misunderstand. So I came back specially to explain. The word broke up was used so cleverly, making me seem especially ungrateful. I let out a soft laugh. Leaning against the car door, I said calmly, I'll give you 5 minutes. Jiang Haoyu was taken aback. He had only mentioned it casually, not expecting that I would actually listen to him. Wenzuli and I did have a brief ambiguous phase before. Later, the two of us had a conflict. When she confessed to you, it was because she took you as my substitute. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gotten involved with her in the first place. But this car accident was truly unexpected. In my panic, I couldn't find anyone. So that's why you're apologizing to me. I didn't know she was going to marry you back then. I looked at him coldly, watching him put on an act. You said, Wenzuli treated me as a substitute. Did she know about that? At my words, Jiang Haoyu's expression stiffened. He quickly changed the subject. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Can you forgive Zuli? She's really heartbroken, I feel sorry for her. I scoffed softly and interrupted Jiang Haoyu. I'm not that close to you. I don't care about the disgusting mess between you and Wenzuli. You're asking me to forgive Wenzuli. In what capacity? As the son of a mistress. Jiang Haoyu's face went pale. He clearly hadn't expected me to be so blunt. He lowered his head and clenched his teeth. I know I can't calm your anger. I'll do whatever you want. I lowered my eyes. My voice was cold. Would dying be acceptable? At that moment, Wenzweli's voice came from behind. Yichin. I rubbed my temples with a headache. As I raised my eyes, I leaned closer to Jiang Haoyu. A faint smile curved at the corner of my lips. I felt a bit helpless. It's been so many years. You're still playing the scheming nice guy act. Wenzuli hurried over, seeing that Jiang Haoyu was also there. A flash of irritation passed through his eyes. Wenzuli didn't look at him. She turned her head to look at me. Her gaze was burning, yet her tone was cautious. Yichin, can I invite you to a meal? That night after she went back, she was scolded by her grandmother and mother in turns, and only then realized the seriousness of the matter. I let out a mocking laugh. I turned around, opened the car door, then shut it. The movement smooth and decisive. From start to finish, I didn't look at her once. Wenzuli wanted to chase after me, but Jiang Haoyu stopped her. Jiang Yichin has made up his mind he won't turn back. Give it up. Wenzuli didn't turn around. After a few seconds of silence, she said, You were in a car accident. I chose to go see you not because I still couldn't let go, but because I wanted to make a clean break with you. I just didn't expect you to scheme against me. You actually put sleeping pills in my water. Jiang Haoyu panicked and hurriedly explained, I really didn't know you were going to marry him. Wenzuli sneered as she turned back. You didn't know. I asked my assistant to pass a message to Li Chun. Why did you stop it? Jiang Haoyu was left speechless. Pain showed on his face. Wenzuli clenched her teeth. Li Chun was right. Because of my hesitation. I gave you the chance to exploit it. You said Yichin was always cold to you, using harsh words and bullying you. But, is that really the truth? I won't judge the matters of your family. But you shouldn't have schemed against Yichin. He is your brother, and he should have been my husband. Wenzuli shook her head. Helplessness and regret surfaced in her deep eyes. Seeing the two of us reach this point, are you satisfied now? Jiang Yichin held the handles of the wheelchair, lifting his head to look at the sky. Yet he remained silent. On the 4th day of marriage, Xia Signing was about to go on a business trip. I helped her pack her luggage. Although we didn't sleep in the same bedroom, the decor styles of the two rooms were almost identical, maybe because we'd been used to being friends since childhood. Suddenly being married still felt a bit unfamiliar. Once we spent more time together, we would inevitably end up sleeping in the same bed. When I knocked on the door, Shia happened to be taking a shower. She opened the door with only a towel wrapped around her waist. My gaze trembled, and my eyes couldn't help drifting downward. Shia leaned against the doorframe, smiling as she asked, "What's wrong?" My cheeks flushed red. I blurted out, "I'm hungry." Shia followed my line of sight, lowered her voice, and asked, "Are you sure it's that kind of hungry?" I felt caught red-handed. I hurriedly turned around and muttered, "I came to ask if you were hungry." Shia teased me on purpose. "You got hungry as soon as you came." I shot her an annoyed glare. "Seriously," I said, "what do you want to eat?" Shia straightened up, her eyes full of laughter. "How about you?" Her words left me speechless. My face turned red as I turned and walked out. "You're ridiculous." Behind me came Shia bell-like laughter, each sound landing perfectly on my heart, making my cheeks flush slightly. I quickly rushed into the kitchen. After she finished packing, Shia went to the kitchen. Just then, I came out carrying a bowl of tomato and egg noodles. Golden eggs covered the snowy white noodles, with a few lonely scallions sprinkled on top. Shia appetite instantly opened up. She picked up her chopsticks and started eating. She remembered that in our first year of high school, after she ran away from home and I took her in, this was exactly what she ate: tomato and egg noodles. After I left, she tried countless noodle shops, yet none could make the same taste as mine. Shia tightened her grip on the chopsticks. She quickly finished the noodles in front of her. Shia left in the middle of the night. When I woke up the next morning, on the dining table downstairs, I saw a note Shia had left behind. The handwriting was just like in high school, neat and delicate. "Business trip for 1 week. Don't miss me. If you really can't help it, give me a call. I'm online 24/7's company for chatting and eating." After breakfast, I quickly got myself ready and rushed to the company. After work, I received a call from my good friend Chu Feng, asking me out for dinner. After arriving at the agreed restaurant, I sat down across from him. Seeing Chu Feng pull a long face, I smiled and teased him. "You asked me out to eat, why do you look so unhappy?" Chu Feng hesitated for a moment, then took out a photo. He said cautiously, "Li Chun, don't get angry after you see this." I glanced at it. It was an intimate photo of NiceGamLii and Jiang Haoyu. In the photo, Jiang Haoyu seemed to have fallen, and NiceGamLii was helping him back into the wheelchair. Jiang Haoyu had once been a moderately well-known singer in the music scene, with quite a few fans. Once photos like this surfaced, the media would naturally speculate that the two had finally broken through that thin barrier and were planning to go public. I smiled and handed the photo back. In a calm tone, I said, "What do I have to be angry about? I'm already married." Chu Feng smiled in satisfaction and asked Li Chun, "How has Shia been treating you? Back in school, you never got along." Actually, Shia is a pretty good person. If it weren't for that incident happening to him, there wouldn't have been any place for NiceGamLii at all. At the mention of NiceGamLii, Chu Feng was filled with anger. I smiled and said, "All right, don't be mad, let's eat first." After the meal, I glanced at Chu Feng, only to see him staring into the distance. I followed his line of sight. A familiar car was parked by the roadside. Jiang Haoyu was sitting in a wheelchair by the road, seemingly talking to someone inside the car. Chu Feng, the disgust in your eyes is impossible to hide. Isn't Jiang Haoyu hospitalized? Why is he wheeling himself around everywhere? Could he be faking it? Chu Feng rolled up his sleeves, about to go pick a fight. I hurriedly stopped him. "Let's go. Whether he's faking it or not is none of our business." There was an ambiguous meaning behind my words. Although the streetlights were dim, from 7 or 8 meters away, we could still clearly see who was inside the car. Chu Feng snorted coldly. "Seems there are plenty of people who care about them." His voice was a bit loud. The person inside the car heard it, looked up, and saw me smiling. NiceGamLii's hand trembled. She quickly pushed open the car door and walked toward me. "Li Chun," NiceGamLii called out to me from outside. I didn't turn back, but NiceGamLii refused to give up. She pushed through the stream of cars and rushed in front of me, panting. Chu Feng glanced at me worriedly. I gave him a faint smile to reassure him. "Li Chun, listen to my explanation." As she spoke, NiceGamLii's burning gaze fell on me. Through her I calmly looked at Jiang Haoyu across the way, his eyes full of grievance. I smiled indifferently. No need. My tone was cold. It made Wenzuli falter. When we were together. Although I wasn't particularly passionate, I had never been this icy and distant. As if a bottomless chasm now lay between us. Wenzueli's lips parted. As if she wanted to say something. Just then, my phone vibrated. It was a voice message from Xia Signing. I had intended to convert it to text, but my hand slipped and I tapped the voice message. I've been on the ground for 17 hours. And you're done after one greeting just throwing me aside. Her voice reached my ears, carrying a plaintive laugh. My face flushed slightly. What was she saying? That could easily be misunderstood. Chu Feng looked at me with a mischievous grin. Wenzueli's expression changed drastically. She asked in disbelief, Li Chun, you and Xia Signing are? Without changing expression, I replied, we are legally married. The unspoken meaning was that even if something did happen, it would be perfectly justified. Endless bitterness surged in Wenzueli's heart. The pain and regret in her eyes were impossible to hide. She still wanted to say something, but Xia Signing's call had already come through. I glanced at Chu Feng, walked a little farther away, and answered the call. Although I had married Xia Signing, the first few days of newlywed life had been quite pleasant. Most of the time, we each did our own things. So receiving her call after the wedding, I was a little surprised. Xia Signing's casual voice came through. Li Chun, did you get a new sweetheart and forget your wife? My heart started racing. Blushing, I said softly, what are you talking about? There was a 2-second silence on her end. Then she suddenly dropped a bomb. Did I tire you out last night? Suddenly I heard Chu Feng burst into laughter behind me. I felt utterly mortified. I swore I would never again answer Signing's calls in front of others. This woman really has no filter. Nothing happened last night. I just made noodles for her, okay? The way she said it made it sound like last night. We did something only premium members could watch. I patiently explained. I only cooked noodles for you last night. Don't talk nonsense, aren't you on a business trip? Xia Signing responded in a low voice. Just as she was about to speak again, I heard Wenzuli call out from his side. Yichen. Her gaze flickered slightly as she said, so late are you out alone? I glanced at Chu Feng. I just finished dinner with Chu Feng, I said. Xia Signing chuckled softly. Is Yang cooling that useless? It's so late, and she can't even keep an eye on her husband? I grumbled inwardly. How would you know whether she's capable or not? Xia Signing seemed to hear my thoughts. She said in a low voice, I don't know whether she's capable or not, but whether I am, you'll have to try for yourself. My cheeks turned completely red. Even the tip of my tongue trembled, leaving me speechless. Sensing my flustered silence, she laughed and said, I'm just teasing you. I'll hang up now. I still have a meeting later. Go home early. I stiffened all over and hung up the phone. Wenzuli rushed up to me. Her face was filled with pain. Yichen, have you really fallen for her? Then what did our 2 years together amount to? I froze for a moment, apparently not expecting Wenzuli to accuse me first. I frowned slightly and stared at her, my tone turning stern. When you chose to abandon me and leave me humiliated, did you ever think about what our 2 years meant? Wenzueli's face turned deathly pale. Her voice was low, and she looked completely lost. Yichen, I'm sorry. I never thought things would turn out like this. I put my phone away, then looked at Jiang Haoyu, whose lips were trembling. The corner of my mouth curved slightly. The smile was hard to read. Wenzuli, you didn't love me that much after all. Otherwise, you wouldn't have hesitated. Between Jiang Haoyu and me, my expression remained calm, my tone light, but resolute. To be honest, when Grandpa suggested an alliance marriage with you, I didn't refuse. Back then, I thought you were decent enough. But now it seems you're not even comparable to a single strand of Xia Signing's hair. Please stay away from me. Seeing you honestly makes me sick. Wenzuli pressed her lips together, silent. Her chest felt as if someone had ripped it open with a knife. Blood pouring out endlessly. Her entire heart felt hollow. Yichen, is there really no chance for us anymore? Not even a single chance. Her spirits were completely crushed. She didn't even dare lift her head, much less look into my eyes. She was afraid of pushing herself into despair once again. The always proud Wenzuli had never shown weakness to a man before. A trace of mockery flashed through my eyes. Wenzuli, you really make me look down on you now. The moment you received Jiang Haoyu's call and decided to rush over. We were already over. I have a wife now. I don't want her to misunderstand. So stay away from me. At that moment, Jiang Haoyu's helpless voice rang out, perhaps worried that Wenzuli would follow after me. He hurriedly tried to push his wheelchair over, but he didn't expect to hit a stone. The wheelchair tipped over and fell into the middle of the road. Wenzuli looked over as well. I didn't miss the trace of pity in Wenzuli's eyes. I smiled faintly. Chu Feng smiled at Wenzuli and said, Miss Wen, your dear brother has fallen. Aren't you going to help him up? There are so many cars at night. It's easy for something to go wrong. Wenzuli withdrew her gaze and said to me, I've already cut off ties with him. I responded coldly with a sound. Then I turned around and left with Chu Feng. Wenzuli wanted to chase after us, but Jiang Haoyu's increasingly miserable cries behind her made her stop in her tracks. Wenzuli stood there, exhausted and aged, watching helplessly as I left. After saying goodbye to Chu Feng, I went home. After showering, I took out my phone. It was already 11 p.m. Xia Signing should have finished work by now. Thinking of the accusatory voice message she sent earlier, the corners of my lips lifted unconsciously. Back in school, Xia Signing liked going against me. And she's still like that even after marriage. Truly incorrigible. But now that we're married, we're supposed to spend the rest of our lives together. I should at least greet her politely. I sent her a message. Back at the hotel yet? Xia Signing, who was in a meeting, glanced at her phone lighting up. When she saw the familiar avatar flashing, her previously calm heart suddenly sped up. She quickly replied to my message. Not finished yet. I sent a helpless emoji, then added, your husband is so rich. Why work so hard? Seeing my reply, Xia Signing was a little surprised. Why is my husband suddenly so nice? The corner of my lips curved slightly. I'm afraid you'll drop dead. Then I won't get any inheritance. After another round of bickering, we ended the chat. Xia Signing's hearty laughter still echoed in my ears. With her interruption, my gloomy mood from Wenzuli's appearance gradually improved. After being busy at work for several days, I received a call from my dad, telling me to come home for dinner tonight, like a superior giving orders to a subordinate. With not a shred of emotion in his words, I sighed quietly. I was already used to it. Clearly, we were both his biological sons. Yet my father's attitude toward us was worlds apart. He always felt that Jiang Haoyu, having been out there alone, had suffered a lot and deserved extra compensation. But my own life over the years hadn't been easy either. I lost my mother, and even my father was cold toward me. If it weren't for our blood ties, I might not even be able to call him dad. After work, I dragged my feet getting into the car and went home. I knew that even if I made excuses to delay, it would only give people something to talk about in the end. When I arrived home, I heard my dad's gentle voice right at the door. Even without thinking, I knew exactly who he was talking to. Dad, next month I'm planning to hold a concert. Jiang Haoyu's voice came through. My dad frowned. Your leg hasn't even healed yet. What concert are you talking about? The entertainment industry is exhausting. Your brother has been running the company well. Once your leg gets better, come work at the company with him. Dad, Jiang Haoyu and I spoke at the same time. My dad and Jiang Haoyu turned around and saw me. A hint of awkwardness flashed across my dad's face, but he quickly relaxed. Yichin, as the older brother, it's only right for you to look out for Haoyu. I kept a blank expression and said matter-of-factly, his major doesn't match. He's not suitable for the company. My dad looked displeased and countered, Haoyu is your younger brother. The entertainment industry is a big cesspool. With his temperament, he's not suited for it. I looked at my dad with a faint smile. When I first took over the company, those old foxes wanted to swallow me whole. I still made it through. Choices you make yourself should be born with grit. We're all adults now, and should take responsibility for our decisions. My words were a bit harsh, and Jiang Haoyu couldn't quite save face. He looked up at me and explained, brother, don't be angry. Dad is just worried about me. I'm not interested in the company. I'm fine just being a singer. I let out a soft laugh. I'm not your brother. You went abroad for further study for a year without making a splash, and after coming back, you could only rely on scandals to grab attention. Jiang Haoyu, is this the result of your studies overseas? At my words, Jiang Haoyu's expression changed. My dad pulled a long face and scolded me, Li Chun. How can you talk to your brother like that? He's still sick. I strode to the stairway. If he's a patient, he should stay in the hospital. I didn't beg him to come home. For Grandpa's sake. It's already generous of me not to crush Jiang Haoyu. After saying that, I ignore my dad shouting behind me, forbidding me to go upstairs to see Grandpa. At dinner, my dad once again brought up the idea of letting Jiang Haoyu join the company. He wanted to see what the old master thought. Although he was Grandpa's son, he never really held a solid position in the company. And years ago, because Jiang Haoyu and his mother came to the door, he had already fallen out with the old master over that matter. The old master looked at Jiang Haoyu expressionlessly and asked, "Haoyu, what do you think? What's your stance?" Jiang Haoyu unconsciously tightened his grip on the chopsticks, then smiled and said, "Grandpa is worried I'll be bullied, but I still have Sister Zuli to look after me. Continuing to sing shouldn't be a problem. Besides, I still have a group of fans. Quitting the industry so rashly would be irresponsible to them." The old master gave a non-committal hum, then said, "Since you don't have that intention, let's not bring this up again." With those words, the old master completely cut off my dad's retreat. My dad's face darkened. After dinner, he stopped me as I was about to leave. The two of us went to talk in the courtyard. My dad went straight to the point. "I know your grandfather has always favored you, and that the shares he gave you are a bit more. You've seen it yourself without the family's backing, Haoyu. We'll have a very hard time in the future. Right now, most of the company's shares are in your hands. Give some of them to Haoyu." His tone wasn't a negotiation, it was an order. I wasn't surprised. The moment my dad first brought this up, I had already prepared myself mentally. My gaze was calm. I said clearly, word by word, "I don't owe Jiang Haoyu anything. Why should I give him what belongs to me? Yichin, Haoyu doesn't have a mother. He only has me." Seeing my dad try to play the emotional card, I paused for a moment, then I let out a mocking laugh. "I don't have a mother either. You must have forgotten how my mom died. I will never forgive him." My dad looked a little helpless. He said lightly, "Your mother and I were a marriage alliance. I won't comment much on our generation's feelings." I only replied calmly, "You have your choices, and I have my ways of handling things." My dad's gaze turned sharp. His tone was unfriendly. "You really look down on him that much? He's your brother. Sharing some assets is only right." I let out a cold laugh, leaning lazily against the lamppost. A mocking smile surfaced in my deep-set eyes. "You also have assets. If you truly feel sorry for him, you can transfer the shares in your hands to him. I have no objections at all." Hearing this, my dad said sternly, "Jiang Yichin, so now you don't listen to a single word I say, is that it?" I spoke with an icy expression. "I don't want to completely tear apart the last bit of decency. If you insist on this, you might as well consider the consequences." There was a serious threat in my words. My dad wasn't too dull to hear it. He looked at me coldly. "Li Chun, I'm discussing this with you now as your father. If you're unwilling, then when we return to the company tomorrow, in front of the shareholders, I won't be this lucky again." My dad's meaning was crystal clear. Either tonight you give it to me tonight, or you give it to me in front of everyone tomorrow. When I arrived at the company the next day, Assistant Liu hurriedly handed me the documents needed for the meeting. She hesitated to speak, her eyes full of anxiety. I glanced through the documents and noticed her nervous look. "Is there anything else?" I asked. Assistant Liu said worriedly, "President Jiang, this morning I saw Manager Jiang and several other managers holding a meeting together. It seemed they were discussing matters related to you." I raised my brow, smiled lightly, closed the file, and stood up briskly. "Whatever comes, I'll deal with it. What do I have to fear?" When I entered the meeting room, those old men immediately shut their mouths. The atmosphere fell into silence at once. I had the assistant present the work report. After it ended, I asked, "Does anyone have objections?" My dad was the first to speak. "President Jiang, wasn't the Chengdu land project supposed to be cooperated with Halen? Why was it suddenly handed over to Xia Signing?" Everyone present knew very well what kind of relationship Xia Signing and I had. I looked coldly at my dad, who struck first, and said with a smile, "Manager Jiang, didn't you know? Halen has recently been involved in a scandal. It wouldn't be appropriate to hand such a major project to them. As for King, they are offering us an 8% return." With that one sentence, I shut everyone present up. What's more, this cooperation was won by King through fair bidding. I swept my cold gaze across everyone's faces. There was no possibility of overturning it. If there are no objections, then today's meeting is adjourned. After saying that decisively, I turned to leave, but my dad suddenly stood up. He knew very well what standing up meant. Yet he still didn't want Jiang Haoyu to be wronged. My dad stared heavily at my back and said coldly, President Jiang, you're still too young. And you act far too decisively. You should gain more experience first. Several shareholders and I are in agreement. You should give up a portion of your shares. Only then can a balance of power be formed. The index finger hanging at my side tightened. My eyes stung badly. We're both sons. Yet my father could, for Jiang Haoyu's sake, force me in front of everyone to hand over my shares. Why should everything I worked so hard for be so easily given to someone else? I stayed silent for a few seconds. When I turned back, there was no emotion left in my eyes. In a strictly businesslike tone, I asked, Manager Jiang, are you questioning my decision? My brows knit together. He hadn't expected me to be this resolute, and a trace of reluctance crossed his mind. But when he thought of Jiang Haoyu pitifully sitting in a wheelchair, the scales in his heart unconsciously tilted toward Jiang Haoyu. President Jiang is too young. Some decisions are made a bit too decisively. That's not a good thing for the company. I understand President Jiang's mindset. After all, you're young. Having drive and momentum is understandable. But President Jiang must remember, everyone here has put their livelihoods, their very lives, on the line with you. If you make a single wrong decision, everyone's efforts will go down the drain. Suppressing my anger, I replied with a grim face. We're all grasshoppers on the same rope. As long as I have a bite to eat, I won't deny anyone else a piece of meat. If you want to take my shares. You say you dislike my hardline style. Could it be that you prefer Jiang Haoyu's indecisive approach? At that, my father's face darkened instantly. I let out a soft laugh and continued, Manager Jiang, being overly self-assured is dangerous. Stuffing someone who knows nothing into the company. That's the real disaster. My father was determined to push Jiang Haoyu into the company, so I decided to use that against him, making him lift a stone only to smash his own foot. My father could no longer suppress me. He could only steel himself and follow behind me. Jiang Yichin, Haoyu is your younger brother. Helping him is only right. I didn't slow my steps. I replied coldly, my mom only gave birth to me. I thought that after going to the Jiang family twice, I'd made myself clear enough. Who would have thought the father I once respected most would actually, for a mistress's son, go this far? It would be a lie to say it didn't hurt. My dad followed me into the office. Seeing me open the computer and work as if nothing happened, he grew anxious. In anger, he rushed over and shut my computer off. Grinding his teeth, he said, he's your brother. And he's my son too. I raised my eyes, rims faintly red, which made my dad freeze. With reddened eyes I asked, then what about me? I seized on his guilt and pressed on. I'm also your biological son. I wasn't some child you picked up off the roadside. My dad choked on his words, awkwardly glancing at me. A trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes. He slumped onto the sofa. Lowering his gaze, he explained, Li Chun, Haoyu's mother. It sounded like the biggest joke I'd ever heard. What nonsense are you talking about, Manager Jiang? Do you think you did right by my mom? I lost my temper completely. I grabbed the cup at hand and hurled it at my dad's feet. Cold water splashed, soaking his pant legs. Outside, Assistant Liu sensed something was wrong, her heart clenching tight. She hurriedly called Xia Xining's assistant. As for their contact, it was all for their respective bosses. Routine communication was necessary. What I ate yesterday, whether my appetite was good, who I ran into. She picked the key points and send them to Xia Xining's assistant, Li Wei, who would then relay them to Xia Xining. Of course, I treated her well, and she didn't find this troublesome. It wasn't the first time my dad had been made to lose face by me. He stood up coldly. The murky look in his eyes suddenly sharpened. He said to me, you'll give up those shares whether you want to or not. Give them, or you still have to give them. This is the only thing I can give Haoyu. Yi Cheng, I owe you. I'll find a way to repay you. After saying that, my dad hurried away, as if there were floods and beasts chasing after him. I collapsed into the chair, as if all my strength had been drained. I closed my eyes. The tears I couldn't hold back kept falling. One last time, I told myself this in my heart. This is the last time I'll tolerate him. Only after my emotions had mostly settled did the assistant dare to bring in fresh coffee and tidy up the office as well. Thinking it was the assistant bringing lunch, I saw Su Zhaoxiao tugging Xia Xining, discussing what to eat tonight. She cleared her throat lightly. Xining Ji. Xia Xining turned back, raising a brow, and looked at her assistant, Li Wei. After some hesitation, Li Wei said, something happened on President Jiang's side. Xia Xining hadn't reacted yet, but Su Zhaoxiao had already blown up. What? Who dares bully my brother-in-law? Xia Xining shot her a look, covered Su Zhaoxiao's mouth, and looked back at Li Wei, signaling her to continue. Li Wei said, "It's like this. Last night, President Jiang went to the Jiang family home. Things didn't end very pleasantly. Today, Manager Jiang joined forces with several shareholders to pressure President Jiang into giving up part of his shares. He even had a huge argument with his father." Hearing that, a hint of solemnity and displeasure appeared on the deputy commander's face. "You didn't think for more than a few seconds, and said coldly, 'Book me the earliest flight.'" She hesitated 30 seconds before saying, "But there's still an important meeting tomorrow." There was unquestionable certainty in Xia Xining's tone. "It'll be fine. Help me buy another ticket to come back tomorrow." After saying that, she lifted her foot and left without hesitation. She doesn't know about this. Xia Xining is already on her way back. I don't want her to know about these troubles either. It's just that my dad is pressing too hard. I was busy all day, completely dizzy and disoriented. I didn't even eat dinner. When it was time to get off work, I went to sit in the parking lot for a while, looking at the empty parking lot. My heart felt just as empty. If it weren't for Grandpa still being there and missing home, I would never step foot there for the rest of my life. My own biological father actually pushed me to this point. She kept me step by step for Jiang Haoyu. Doesn't that just prove she cheated during the marriage? If it weren't for Grandpa's dignity, I would have called a group of reporters today and questioned her face to face. Let's see if my dad has any shame. Just then, when Zweli's voice sounded not far away, I looked at her wearily. Seeing her walk over, I hurriedly stood up and walked toward my car, but I didn't expect that I'd been sitting too long. The moment I stood up, my vision went black. My legs went weak, and I almost fell to the ground. When Zuli rushed toward me nervously, I supported myself against the wall and stood up, forcing myself to scold her. "Don't come over." When Zuli stood where she was, not too far away from me, "Li Chun, I mean no harm. Let me take you back." When Zuli, seeing me gritting my teeth and holding on alone, felt heartbroken to the extreme, I leaned against the wall, panting heavily, and ignored Wenzuli. After zoning out for 2 seconds, I gritted my teeth and walked toward my own car. Wenzuli followed after me unwillingly. Her weak voice sounded from behind, calling out, "Yichin, how could Xia Xining let you face everything alone? Let me take you to the hospital." All right, that last sentence carried a note of pleading. Extremely humble, I stopped in my tracks. It made Wenzweli's heart stir, thinking I was about to change my mind. She called out tenderly, "Li Chun." I turned around, but there was none of the softness Wenzuli was hoping for in my eyes. Instead, there was a bottomless abyss. I sneered coldly at Wenzuli. "Can't you understand human language? I don't want to see you." The smile on Wenzweli's face vanished instantly. She staggered back in disbelief. Pain gradually surfaced in her eyes. Her eyes quickly reddened. Biting her lip, she asked Li Chun, "I really know I was wrong. What do I have to do for you to forgive me? As long as you say it, I'll do it." My gaze turned incomparably cold and ruthless, forcibly cutting off Wenzweli's steps as she tried to chase after me. Tears shimmered in Wenzweli's eyes. In a low voice, she asked Yi Cheng, "We've known each other for so many years. Do you really have to go this far?" I smiled lazily. Imitating Xia Xining's manner, I asked Wenzuli, "Do you know why I agreed to your confession back then? If it weren't for Grandpa's wishes, I wouldn't have chosen you. Just the fact that you once had an ambiguous period with Jiang Haoyu was enough for me to rule you out completely." Wenzweli's expression darkened. She seemed to recall something. Then she stared at me, Li Chun, with complicated emotions. "Did you never like me at all?" I let out a low laugh. "I did like you before. But when you were still entangled with Jiang Haoyu, that liking disappeared. I'm a very stubborn person. Once I've made up my mind to do something, I won't turn back until I hit the wall. Back then, setting aside all misgivings, and being with you was genuine. And it's also true that I don't want to see you now. If you don't want me to look at you with disgust for the rest of my life, then don't show up in front of me. This is the only dignity I can give you. Kian is my bottom line. Although it wasn't caused by Wenzuli, it still can't be separated from her. I can't just forgive her that easily." Wenzweli's eyes reddened, as if her insides had been hollowed out. She suddenly bent over and covered her face, tears streaming through her fingers. I didn't look at her once. I turned and walked toward my car, leaving the parking lot without looking back. Wenzuli stood there, clenching her fists tightly. Her nails dug into her flesh, and the blood that seeped out dripped onto the ground. Wenzweli's bloodshot eyes watched my departing back. a sick smile spreading across her face. Yichin, you can forget about leaving me. You can only belong to me. By the time I drove home, it was already dark. I was so exhausted I only wanted to sleep. The moment I sat down on the sofa, I heard a voice, honey. Why are you home so late? Seeing Xia Xining suddenly appear, I was a little surprised. She walked out and came close to me. I could smell a faint fragrance on her. I tilted my head up to look at her. The living room lights were off, only the light from outside the door shining in. I couldn't see her expression clearly, but I could feel the anger coming off her. I asked softly, why are you back? Wasn't your business trip supposed to last a while? Xia Xining raised her hand and gently stroked my cheek, saying in a low voice she was afraid I'd be bullied, so she came back specially to check on me. If you listen closely, you could still hear a faint note of concern in her tone. Xia Xining didn't continue speaking. She sat down beside me, silently reaching out and wrapping her arms around me. All the turmoil caused by my dad and Wenzuli, all that irritation, dissipated when I was with Xia Xining. I smiled at her. You rushed back just for this, haven't you eaten yet? What do you want to eat tonight? Just one smile from me was enough to undo Xia Xining. Clearly she'd only been away from me for a few days, yet to Xia Xining it felt like years. That feeling of regaining something and fearing to lose it again was truly unbearable. Xia Xining swallowed and asked softly, suddenly, is it okay if it's you? I froze. I only felt my cheeks burning hot. I was immensely grateful that Xia Xining couldn't see how awkward I looked right now. I didn't hear myself answer. Xia Xining's face grew darker and redder. Her lips pressed together, and there seemed to be a hint of sadness in her eyes. I suddenly muttered softly, are you even human? All day you don't think about eating. You only think about eating people. My voice was small, but we were standing close, so she still heard it. Xia Xining fell silent for a few seconds, then suddenly let out a low laugh. Her laughter sounded incredibly pleasant. She fondly reached out and touched my face, and said softly, all right, I'll listen to you, husband. I won't eat people. Then can we go out to eat dinner now? I'm exhausted. I sat on a plane for hours. There was a rare hint of coquettishness in her tone. She made me laugh. I lightly smacked her hand, then stood up to change my shoes. As we stepped out, Xia Xining held my hand tightly as we left the building. It was a bit chilly at night. She tucked her neck in slightly. The next second, a jacket was draped over her shoulders. Xia Xining turned back, confusion and puzzlement in her eyes. You gave me your coat. Aren't you cold? Her eyes were very clear, yet they made a wave of heat surge through me. With a faint smile at the corner of my lips, I said, you're a girl. Your body is a bit weaker. As I spoke, my gaze fell on her legs. I raised an eyebrow and said, next time it's cold and you still wear a skirt, I'll break your legs. Xia Xining looked at me, then made a silly face. She subtly hooked her arm through mine, passing her warmth on to me. After the two of us finished dinner and returned, I went into the bathroom to run water for the bathtub, so Xia Xining could soak and ease her fatigue. I suddenly noticed Xia Xining hadn't brought any luggage back. That meant she would be leaving again later. So, what was the purpose of her coming back tonight? While I was lost in thought and not paying attention, Xia Xining quietly walked up behind me. Seeing my eyes gradually go unfocused, the corners of her lips lifted slightly. The bathtub's about to overflow. Xia Xining reminded me, husband, are you trying to drown me? I snapped back to my senses and saw the water was full, and hurriedly got up to turn it off. In a moment of flustered chaos, water from the shower head splashed onto Xia Xining's clothes. She was wearing a white top, now soaked through by the water, faintly outlining the shape of her underwear beneath. Xia Xining looked at me blankly. My gaze fell on her chest. With a mischievous smile, Yang Mei said, husband, are you planning to take a couple's bath with me? My face turned red beyond belief. I raised my hand to cover my eyes. Husband, don't be shy. Xia Xining chuckled softly, her voice so pleasant it was fatal. Xia Xining moved my hand away and leaned in closer. Our breaths tangled. She could see the nervous look on my face. Xia Xining didn't want to pressure me. She was willing to wait for the day I was willing. Xia Xining laughed and looked at me. Why aren't you going out yet? Are you really planning to take a lover's bath with me? My face burned red, even after returning to my own room. What lingered in my mind was still Xia Xining's laughing voice. It had only been a few days apart, so why did Xia Xining feel so intoxicating? I pinched my cheeks a few times, then let out several deep breaths. It took quite a while before I steadied my emotions. The phone placed to the side suddenly rang. I picked up my phone and took a look. Chu Feng sent a message in the group chat. Li Chun, did your dad give you trouble again? My expression darkened slightly. These messy family matters of mine. I didn't want to drag them into it. Before I could reply, Chu Feng continued. Li Chun, we're good brothers, you know. If anything happens, you have to tell us. I also heard a bit of gossip today. Jiang Haoyu is planning to hold a concert. Could it be related to this? After thinking it over, I told them what my dad was planning. Chu Feng has a hot temper, he said angrily. Isn't he afraid of karma for doing this? You're his son too. I smiled and said it was fine. I can handle it myself. I'll go rest first. After saying that, I really put down my phone and closed my eyes. I only meant to rest for a bit, but I ended up falling asleep. Half awake, I was startled by a knock at the door, along with Xia Xining's anxious voice. It took me a few seconds to come back to my senses. I shouted to Xia Xining that I was fine. There was no sound outside the door. I didn't think much of it. I quickly got dressed and went to open the door. To my surprise, Xia Xining was still standing outside. She said worriedly that she'd been knocking on my door, but there was no response. After I said I was fine, I asked again, you didn't bring luggage, are you leaving again later? Xia Xining nodded slightly. A 6 a.m. flight. Her voice sounded a bit hoarse, as if she were speaking right by my ear. My heart trembled slightly. My emotions flickered. I knew the real reason Xia Xining had come back so suddenly. To say I wasn't moved would be a lie. I could feel it. Xia Xining truly treated me very well. I lowered my head and said softly, Xia Xining, you really don't have to do this. You're so good to me. What if one day you can't accept me? If you ever want to divorce me? Before I could finish speaking, I actually feel that I haven't fully fallen in love with her yet. Maybe it's because we were used to being close friends before. We got married in a rush before properly dating. I'm afraid that in the end I'll hurt her feelings for me. That's why I restrain myself as much as possible when she flirts with me. However, as she listened to me, there was a faint smile on her face. She said nothing and walked over to my side, silently wrapping her arms around me. Jiang Yichen, we are husband and wife now. Once I got married, I never thought about divorce. Xia Xining held me close, her movements gentle, her fingertips trembling slightly. The corners of her lips curved up. I've dreamed of this scene countless times. I blushed a little, at a loss, and said, why don't you go sleep for a bit first? I'll wake you later. Xia Xining sat down by my bed, raising an eyebrow as she looked at me. Li Chun, are you in such a hurry to send me away? She crooked a finger at me, smiling as she asked, did your father-in-law bully you? I knew that if she came to see me, it must be about this. After thinking it over, I said I'd handle it myself. Xia Xining said irritably, how are you going to handle it yourself? They're all old foxes. If they gang up on you, you'll be eaten alive, bones and all. I felt the deputy commander was underestimating me. I said smugly, I have ways to deal with those old foxes. Xia Xining chuckled and asked, then what do you plan to do? My expression gradually turned serious. After a moment of thought, I said they want to use shares to pressure me. I'll patiently wait for now and see what their next move is. Respond move by move. You don't need to worry about me. I looked at her seriously and said, you have your own matters too. I don't want to bring you trouble. Xia Xining lowered her beautiful eyes. Your matters have never been a burden to me. Xia Xining doesn't like it when I'm so polite with her. She prefers it when I bicker with her. Just like when we were in school. After chatting with Xia Xining for a while, I solemnly promised that I would report to her every day. Only then did Xia Xining agree to go back to sleep. I set an alarm for her, and then went to the living room. When I woke up again, Xia Xining had gotten dressed and come downstairs. The living room lights were on. She raised her eyebrows slightly and walked toward the kitchen. I was busy in the kitchen, wearing an apron. An insulated container held an exquisite breakfast, along with drinks to relieve fatigue. Xia Xining leaned silently against the doorway, her heart gradually filling with warmth. Life is unpredictable. A wish made in our teens had unexpectedly come true. She once thought that she and I would never cross paths in this life. After all, our family backgrounds were worlds apart. Years later, when she gained the means, she didn't use power to force me, but chose to let go and take a gamble once. Fortunately, she succeeded. After packing everything up, I turned around and saw Xia Xining standing at the door. Feeling a bit shy, I put the insulated container into her hands, smiling as I said, "Eat these in the car later. Sleep a bit more on the plane." Xia Xining stared at me without blinking, a smile on her lips, and softly asked, "Jiang Yichen, are you starting to like me?" My gaze trembled slightly. I didn't know how to answer. Seeing my nervousness, Xia Xining didn't press me. She smiled and gently said, "You've worked hard, husband. I'll get going then." I hurriedly nodded. I saw Xia Xining out the door. Only after watching her get into the car and leave did I close the door and go back to sleep. But after all that, I couldn't fall asleep again. I got up and opened my diary, taking out a photograph from inside. Xia Xining wasn't in the high school graduation photo. In our second year of high school, something happened to the Xia family. Xia Xining had no choice but to hold up the crumbling Xia family. She faced those greedy relatives all on her own. All I knew was that after enduring for several years, Xia Xining personally sent those relatives to prison. And when Xia Xining appeared on television again, she was no longer the person I remembered. But no matter what the past was like, now I'm by her side. In my previous life, the scene of her running through traffic toward me is forever engraved in my mind, perhaps because of Xia Xining's support the next day. I returned to the company feeling refreshed. Assistant Liu came in and brought me coffee. Thinking of the person I'd run into upstairs, she hesitated before saying, "President Jiang, just now Manager Jiang brought Mr. Heoyu to the company." My fingers paused mid-typing. I lifted my gaze, expression calm, and then Assistant Liu tried to gauge my mood. Softening her tone, she said, "I heard Mr. Heoyu came to deliver tickets." I continued typing without pause and said lightly, "Let him be. Do I have any meetings this afternoon?" Assistant Liu shook her head. "No, but you'll need to visit the construction site this afternoon." I nodded, took a sip of coffee, and said, "Thanks for accompanying me this afternoon." The assistant smiled and held her folder. "You're too kind. Then I'll step out first." Later that morning, someone knocked on the door. I was busy and didn't look up, only saying, "Come in." Jiang Heoyu pushed his wheelchair in. "President Jiang, do you have time to talk?" I glanced outside and saw my dad standing there. There was deep concern in Jiang Heoyu's eyes. I glanced at my watch. 5 minutes, I said gravely. Jiang Heoyu nodded. He rolled his wheelchair closer and said, "Li Chun, I won't fight you over the shares. You don't need to feel any pressure." I stared at him. Then I let out a faint laugh and leaned back. "What are you trying to say now? You came all this way just to tell me this. You don't want the shares?" Jiang Heoyu, that's quite a clever move. If you truly don't want them, why not tell the person outside? I took a sip of my coffee, not taking Jiang Heoyu seriously at all. I never planned to give them to you anyway. Jiang Heoyu's expression darkened. "Li Chun, you don't need to be so hostile toward me. I never planned to inherit the company." He paused, then continued, "I plan to retire from the industry after this concert and focus on preparing for marriage." He didn't say who he was marrying, but we both knew perfectly well. Jiang Heoyu stared intently at my expression, not wanting to miss any reaction on my face, but I didn't give him what he wanted. I calmly continued working, and even took a call midway. Only then did I look up and say to Jiang Heoyu, "You don't need to tell me about your affairs. I'm not interested. I still have work to do. You can leave now." My attitude wasn't exactly friendly, but it wasn't rude either. In front of Jiang Heoyu, I had already done my best to restrain my emotions. Jiang Heoyu's lips moved slightly. Just before opening the door to leave, he suddenly turned back and asked, "Jiang Yukin, do you really not like Wenzuli?" During this period, Jiang Heoyu had been following behind Wenzuli. He watched her change from a proud, high-spirited young lady into a woman who got drunk night after night. He even saw with his own eyes Wenzuli crying downstairs outside Jiang Yukin's place. To say he wasn't envious would be a lie. He had liked Wenzuli for many years. Even that past ambiguous incident was carefully orchestrated by him. Nothing more than an attempt to force me away. But after Wenzuli found out, she went to look for me without looking back. He never truly had her. Yet Wenzuli was something he didn't regret. Jiang Yichen, wasn't it now clear that you were determined never to turn back? As long as he was ruthless enough, he had a way to win Wenzuli over. I said, mockery in my eyes, "Don't try to pro me here. Wenzuli and I are already over," having had his thoughts exposed. Jiang Heoyu's face turned slightly pale. He forced a faint smile and turned to leave. When my dad outside saw Jiang Haoyu come out, his expression darkened, his brows knit tightly. He stepped forward and pushed Jiang Haoyu's wheelchair, asking softly, Haoyu, did Jiang Yichen bully you? Jiang Haoyu shook his head, choking up, no. Dad, I don't want the shares anymore. Please don't go looking for Jiang Yicheng again. My dad was a bit angry. In his heart, he began to blame me. He had clearly told me not to bully Jiang Haoyu. So, why didn't I listen? What did Jiang Yichen say to you? At those words, Haoyu's tears fell straight down. With reddened eyes, he said, Dad, one want to see Wenzuli. My dad's expression grew solemn. He said sternly, Haoyu, in your current state, it's not suitable for you to see her. In other words, Wenzuli doesn't want to see him. Jiang Haoyu knew this as well. These past few days, he only dared to silently follow behind Wenzuli, feeling he owed him. My dad softened the moment he saw him upset. All right. Dad will take you to see her. Elsewhere. Xia Xining returned to the hotel after finishing her meeting. When Su Zhaoxiao saw her come in, she pushed off with her foot and slid over to Xia Xining together with her chair. Staring at the utterly exhausted Xia Xining, she joked. Looks like the battle was intense last night. As soon as the words fell, she received a side eye from Xia Xining. Su Zhaoxiao fearlessly scooted closer to Xia Xining and said in a low voice, Xining, we've been best friends for over 10 years, and this is the first time I've seen you this nervous. A man, have you really fallen for Jiang Yichen? Xia Xining felt she was talking nonsense, and retorted, do I look like a playboy? Su Zhaoxiao didn't say anything. People like you are basically the same. Pure to the point of absurdity. Even the honest Wenzuli has dated several boyfriends. Poor Xia Xining, over 20 and still single. I'm just curious. You rushed back so eagerly last night. Did Li Chun feel very moved? Hearing that, Xia Xining felt annoyed. Moved, my ass. There wasn't even a kiss. Thinking of that, Xia Xining looked at Li Wei and asked, did that so-called father-in-law go make trouble today? Li Wei tried to pick details she'd like to hear. But, when Jiang Haoyu came out of President Jiang's office, her expression was extremely ugly. Looks like she got thoroughly shut down. That was rather unexpected. Su Zhaoxiao widened her eyes in disbelief. No way. Jiang Yicheng looks pretty gentle. Xia Xining shot Su Zhaoxiao a disdainful look, thinking she hadn't seen much of the world. Who said Yicheng has a good temper? She just can't be bothered to lose his temper with people. Back in school, she argued with Jiang Yicheng plenty of times. Even with Yicheng's sharp tongue. He was never my match. Li Wei didn't continue, and cautiously withdrew. Xia Xining got irritated, and the atmosphere instantly turned oppressive. The meeting had just ended, and she noticed I hadn't replied to her message. Xia Xining didn't look too good. Just then, her phone buzzed. Xia Xining lowered her head and glanced at it. It was my reply. Sorry. I was at the construction site and didn't see your message. Has your meeting ended over there? Should we turn in early tonight? Seeing the message, the deputy commander's lips curved upward. The two people beside her were utterly confused. Su Zhaoxiao leaned her head over to sneak a look, only to get smacked by Xia Xining. Su Zhaoxiao clutched her head. Everyone teased her, Xining, you're already this old, yet you're still shy like a young kid. You don't know a damn thing. Xia Xining continued replying to me. If I can hear your voice, I don't feel tired anymore. Looking at Xia Xining's message, the corners of my lips lifted slightly. I picked up my phone and called her. Xia Xining happily took her phone and walked outside. Su Zhaoxiao asked from behind, Xining, where are you going? Xia Xining smiled sweetly, not telling you. Xia Xining had just stepped out of the room when she eagerly answered the call. My voice came through the phone. The meeting must have been tough. Remember to drink more warm water. Xia Xining smiled. Li Chun, are you worried about me? I answered stubbornly, yeah. I'm afraid something might happen to you far away, and I wouldn't make it in time to collect your body. Xia Xining clicked her tongue and said with a light laugh, you mean husband? Don't worry, even if I die, all my assets will still be yours. I chuckled softly. Stop joking around. You didn't rest well last night. Go to bed early tonight. Xia Xining agreed readily, like an elementary student who'd just gotten candy. I then asked, when are you coming back? Xia Xining's eyes flickered, wondering if she'd answered the wrong call. After confirming several times that it was really me, she finally asked, "Husband, do you miss me?" But instead, I said, "GrandmaLii's birthday is next week." I hesitated before speaking, carefully listening to Xia Xining's reaction. Although Wenzuli and I have reached this point, GrandmaLii has always been very kind to me. A sudden ache tightened Xia Xining's chest. Her face paled slightly. "Do you want to go?" I explained that GrandmaLii practically watched me grow up. She's treated me very well all these years. Xia Xining took a deep breath. She couldn't interfere in matters between Wenzuli and me. But just knowing I would see Wenzuli made her heart ache unbearably. It had already come to this point, so it still won't work. I sensed her displeasure. I softly called out, "Xia Xining." Xia Xining tried to make her voice gentler. If you want to go, then go." But I laughed out loud instead. "I want to go together with you." After hanging up, I lay on the bed. There was a message from Xia Xining on my phone. It was a selfie. She was curled up on the bed, wearing simple pajamas, wrapped in the blanket. A faint smile on her face. She said, "Listening to my dear husband, I'm already in bed resting." I replied, "Get some good rest." Then put the phone aside. I opened my laptop and continued working. The successful project could only be officially launched after she returned to the company. By then, the two of us would inevitably cross paths. But the pressing issue was thinking it over. How to handle Grandma Wenzuli's birthday next week. Actually, I could choose not to go. But GrandmaLii is getting old. Each birthday is one fewer than the last. Besides, Wenzuli's grandma has treated me well. I couldn't let the elder feel sad, just because of my relationship with Wenzuli. After finishing my emails, I checked my phone. It was already 11 o'clock. Xia Xining replied with a good night and went quiet. Actually, Xia Xining had a little ulterior motive. She deliberately sent a selfie, hoping I'd be a bit lustful. Who knew I'd act like a straight guy? Telling her to rest well instead. Xia Xining almost laughed in frustration, but soon quietly comforted herself. "Don't be mad, don't be mad. The husband was her own choice." While waiting for my reply, she actually fell asleep. The next day, I didn't know what Jiang Haoyu had said to my dad yesterday. But early that morning at the meeting, my dad nitpicked and found fault with everything. Even someone as good-tempered as me was irritated again and again. In the end, he suspended the meeting with a cold face. At the same time, a minor issue cropped up at the company. A senior executive tampered with the accounts and embezzled 50 million before fleeing. I immediately called the police and had finance audit all the accounts, then send them to me for review. While I was swamped and overwhelmed, Wenzuli's household was also in chaos. For GrandmaLii's birthday, Wenzuli wanted to use the occasion to see me, and had her younger sister, Wenmuxu, message me, insisting that I attend the banquet. Wenmuxu is the granddaughter of GrandmaLii's close friend. Sadly, an accident struck her family, and she was the only one left alive. She was taken in by the Li family at just 5 years old. Everyone in the family treated Wenmuxu like their own granddaughter. Wenmuxu had always liked sticking close to me. When she learned her sister was with me, she was happier than anyone else. But who would have thought her sister would run away from the wedding? When Wenzuli made such an outrageous request, Wenmuxu flatly refused. She had been raised by GrandmaLii herself, upright in both looks and character. Staring at Wenzuli, she felt both heartache and anger, and said sarcastically, "Sis, Yichen is already married. Why are you still pestering him now? Back then, when you dumped Brother Yichen to go after Jiang Haoyu, did you ever think about how Brother Yicheng would face all those rumors? What's the point of acting devoted now? It's honestly disgusting." Wenzuli never expected that one day her own sister would call her disgusting. Her heart felt bitter, pain welling up in her eyes. "Zhao, could you help your sister one last time? I heard things have been rough for him lately." So I used a burner account to message him, worried, only to find he even recognized that account and deleted me directly. I called him, but he never answered. I really just wanted to help him, that's all. After saying that, Wenzuli looked at Wenmuxu with pleading eyes. She never thought I would be so decisive. Right now, her heart was filled with indescribable pain. Wenmuxu looked at Wenzuli speechlessly, feeling both heartache and anger. Wenmuxu said with difficulty, "Sis, you and I were both raised by Grandma. How did we end up with completely different personalities? Honestly, I can't even stand this indecisive side of you. Let alone compare you with Xia Xining. You're simply no match for him. Yi Cheng is already married now, do you understand? Legally, he is now Xia Xining's spouse. Not yours, Wenzueli's. Wenzuli froze. Her eyes filled with regret and stubborn pride. When Muxu couldn't bear to watch anymore, she patted Wenzuli on the shoulder and said, "It's all in the past. I think Brother Yi Cheng is quite happy now. You really shouldn't disturb him anymore." Wenzuli shouted with bloodshot eyes. But Xia Xining hasn't brought him happiness. I'm just not willing to give up just this once. Why wouldn't he wait for me? When Muxu looked at her speechlessly. If it weren't for their sisterly bond, she wouldn't even want to bother with Wenzuli. What is this, Wenzuli? A scumbag woman suddenly seeing the light, planning to turn back and chase her ex-husband? Where were you earlier? Don't you understand the crematorium after chasing the husband trope? But deep down, when Muxu still felt sorry for her sister, I can try contacting Brother Yi Cheng. Hearing that, a faint smile appeared in Wenzueli's eyes. Zhao. Thank you. When Muxu shot her a glance. No need to thank me. Just don't make me do this kind of thing again. My relationship with Brother Yi Cheng is good, unlike certain people who stabbed him in the back. While muttering under her breath, when Muxu sent me a message, Brother Yi Cheng, will you come on Grandma's birthday? After sending it, there was no response for a long time. When Muxu looked at her speechlessly. Honestly, if it were me, I wouldn't come either. Brother Li Chun definitely doesn't want to see you right now. When Zuli stared hard at the screen with reddened eyes. When she suddenly thought of something, she quickly left and rushed toward my company. I was reconciling the accounts. When the front desk called to say when Zuli was downstairs asking to see me, I was mentally exhausted, and at that moment I didn't want to see her. I said coldly, I won't see her. The receptionist glanced at Wenzuli and added, President Jiang, she keeps saying she can help you solve your current problems. I sneered and told the receptionist to hand the phone to Wenzuli. Hail you, Wenzuli spoke as soon as she got on the line, her voice gentle and lingering, just like before. But hearing it now only made me feel disgusted. I pressed my throbbing temples and said harshly, what do you want? About how you use shares I can help you repay them. As for the accounting issues your company is facing, I have people as well. I don't want to see you so exhausted. Just meet me once, okay? Consider it a thank you for everything you did for me these past 2 years. When Zuli spoke with an air of deep affection, I almost laughed as I listened. After I finished this long report, how exactly do you plan to help me? When Zweli's tone grew serious, Jiang Haoyu wants compensation, so I'll give him my shares in Win Group. That way you won't be put in a difficult position. As for the accounts, I've already had people help you track them down. I believe there will be results soon. I rubbed my temples wearily and said icily, Wenzuli, do you really think I'd still believe you now? At that, Wenzuli froze for a long moment before coming back to herself. I just sincerely want to help you. I let out a light laugh. No need. I'll handle my own affairs. The reason I took this call was simply to tell you that I already have a wife. With that, I hung up mercilessly, leaving Wenzuli no chance to speak again. After putting down the phone, I had no mood to deal with work. I stood up and paced around. Just then, Assistant Liu knocked on the door. After coming in, she placed some desserts on the table. I asked in surprise, what's this? Assistant Liu smiled and said these were desserts President Xia ordered for you. She said if you're in a bad mood, have something sweet. After Assistant Liu left, I took the desserts out and set them on the table. I took a photo and sent it to Xia Xining. Xia Xining replied very quickly. Feeling a bit better. I asked in confusion, how did you know? Did you install surveillance in my office? The corners of Xia Xining's lips lifted. I said it's the telepathy between husband and wife. Do you believe it? After sending her an emoji, I put down my phone and ate the dessert. My mood really did improve quite a bit, just as I was about to focus fully on my work. Xia Xining's call came in. Guess where I am? I propped my chin and pondered for a moment, smiling as I prepared to answer. Suddenly, outside the door, there was a burst of noisy commotion. Then Assistant Liu came running in a panic, shouting, President Jiang. This is bad. Miss Zuli seems to have gone crazy. She's lost control and charged in.